I've been asked a lot of questions about the AFR that I use, why I use it, how it's hooked up, what it costs, and what I like and what I don't like about it. Well, I will show you a little bit of that today. Let's go. Right now I've just got it operating in demo mode, but it's a really cool sensor to use because it's operated off of an app on your phone, not tethered to a mechanical gauge or an electric gauge that's stuck on the dash where you can't get to it if you're doing tuning under hood. And that's really one of the biggest reasons why I like this AFR from Fuel Air Spark Technology, or FAST. It's one of the Comp Cams brands. It now falls under the Edelbrock group, but it is certainly easily one of my favorite tools to use. It's an AFR, obviously. You can get them in single or dual O2. This is a single O2 on the truck. Typically on a vehicle like this, I don't need bank to bank. I don't need to know both sides. And so for this truck, a single O2 is completely fine. Now, installation on this was pretty simple. It's not that complicated. You know, here's me installing it quite a while ago, but yeah, just simple. The O2 sensor, you know, has its own spot. Locating it is the same as you do on any. You want to make sure that it's at an angle so it's not collecting any water, and keeps the sensor as clean as possible. In this case, I've got a lot of room underneath the truck on the passenger side, so that's the exhaust side that I went into. And certainly it follows all the rules of a typical O2 sensor. You want to be downstream a little bit. For me, it didn't make any sense to put it into the header. It was too close to the collector, so I went downstream 16, 18 inches, something like that. Far enough down that you know, you're not going to get corrupted by, you know, any potential leaks that the header might have there at the collector, and certainly gives the exhaust gases on that side plenty of time to come out of the header, mix themselves all together, so you get a really good reading on it. And so this installation is very simple. Now, one thing that I did use on this one that I've never used before, simply I just wanted to try it. Again, just new things and new things to try, is this piece by Hooker that allows you to not have to weld in the bung, which I understand is complicated for some people, not being able to weld, you know, at their home, or, you know, they don't want to go to an exhaust shop and have them place the bung in there for them, TIG in the bung. I typically do that. It's just the better way to do it. It's you know that it's sealed up, you don't have any issues with it. But I figured, what the heck, I'd try this. And honestly, it's not bad. Would I use it again? If in a pinch, I would be okay using it. But would it be my preferred way of doing it? No, not really. But certainly you could do this in your driveway. As long as you get it sealed up correctly, you shouldn't have any problem with it at all. But the installation wasn't complicated at all, and for sure it's done the job that I've asked it to do. Instructions, like anything else, are only as good as the time that you spend to read them. But again, comes with the wireless module, the sensor, bung, the harness that you need. But very simple. In this case, I have it wired very easily with just a key on, a switch, 12-volt power, ground, and then the input switch for the RPM that I use off the back of the distributor. And then everything else, if you need to hook it up to an ECU or a data logger or some other gauge, it gives you all the configuration to do that. So you can run that through a relay if you're doing that route, and it tells you how to set up, gives you the download for the app, and then just tells you how to run through it. But again, it's so... The nice thing about it, like I said, is just being so easily mobile, that you've seen all the videos that I've done here recently, and that's why I've gotten all these questions on it, is tuning under hood, how much easier that makes it to be, because you can sit here and have the AFR right in front of you. You can set idle mixture if you want to. You can monitor idle speed while you're doing that as well too. It just makes it so easy and so nice to have something pretty mobile. And obviously I've had times where, you know, I've been trying to warm up the truck, do whatever I need to, and I can sit and watch the AFR gauge from 30 feet away in the garage if it's, you know, raining out or something crazy like that. So there's so many positives in that. I wish I had something like that sooner, but that's the biggest reason why I use this gauge, is just because it's portable and very easy to use. That's the wireless module here underneath the hood. Now again, it's very, very simple. It goes back down to the O2, which plugs into it, and then up here is all your connections. That is the harness that you use to, if you're going into an ECU or a data logger or something like that. But very, very simple. One of those is the RPM, and then one of those is the switched key on hot, and then there's my black ground right to the firewall or right to the fender. So if you're not using anything complicated like that, you can just very simple, and I understand my wiring's all ratty, that's on me, whatever. But it's not, I didn't know that this was going to be the permanent location for it. I may move that under hood, or excuse me, under dash. It's where I prefer to have it, but honestly having it here is not that bad because just given the proximity to that and the phone that I use, whether it's in cab or out, it doesn't really make a difference. It's the signal's strong, the signal's good. Always been very easy. Once you get it hooked up and initialized the first time, it does give you the option of how to turn it on, the Bluetooth, so it syncs or it can sync up to your phone, so that makes it easy. That's just a switch or a power light, so you know that it's on, and there's some, if it's flashing, it's one thing, and it'll tell you if there's any issues or problems by the color or the mode on the light, so you know exactly what's going on. But yeah, very, very simple, very easy. They give plenty of row or wire to go down to that. I mean, obviously the lead on that O2 sensor is fairly long. It's maybe 2 foot long, something like that. I can't remember. That's the other thing. Fast uses a Bosch O2 sensor in the kit. They don't use a really cheap and expensive like some of the AFR kits that you can buy on eBay or Amazon for $100-$150, something like that. You don't always get the highest quality sensor. This is a Bosch 4.9 LSU, I believe is the sensor that they use, whatever is the most current version of that. But very, very easy to route. And, the only other thing that I had considered was go up the firewall, go in through that hole right there into the under dash just to protect it. But for right now, that's where it's going to stay. The app obviously has AFR by the number, engine RPM, and a sweeping gauge, so you can kind of watch it from there. It does have a histogram down there where you can monitor, I think, up to 20 seconds. One of the downfalls with this one is it doesn't really allow you or give you much opportunity to data log that. But if you screen record off of your phone, you can screen record as much as you want. So if you're doing something that's longer term, like a road race course or an autocross course, or you've got a long section of highway or somewhere that you're trying to do tuning and you want to come back and look to see what all of those were during those different points of driving, then yeah, sure, you can do that. And certainly the screen record is a better option to do that. You can go AFR or you can tune in Lambda. I typically don't ever work in Lambda unless I'm working on the Chevelle. And then yes, I will sometimes work in that instead, because you've got tuners that go both ways. There's some that will not use Lambda, they won't use AFR, or they'll use only Lambda, they won't use AFR, and vice versa. But for me, I can work in either one. I prefer to work in AFR because it's a little bit easier, and quite honestly, it's one that I think most people understand a little bit more. But the gauge is really good. The response on it's fast. It updates pretty quickly. The refresh is kind of nice. We obviously have seen a lot of the videos where I've had this and I'm using it to tune under hood, or we monitor this as we're driving through while we're doing carburetor tuning. Whatever the case may be, it's just, yes, is it expensive? It is painfully expensive. We'll talk about that in a minute, but the value that you get out of it is something that you can't get anywhere else. Yes, I could do that on a gauge down in here, and that would be just fine if that's all I was doing is in cab, but quite honestly, being able to do this and be mobile underneath the hood and keep moving back and forth if I need to, makes that a very, very valuable piece for me and makes it so much easier. Not that it really means a whole heck of a lot, but I'm, I don't know, 10 feet away from the truck, 10 feet away from that, and I can sit here and monitor AFR if I need to. Do I use it like this very often? No, but again, like I said, you know, I was in that situation where I needed to be in the garage and letting the truck warm up or whatever the case may be, I can monitor AFR, engine RPM, look at all those things and not have to worry about it. I'm a good probably 30 feet away now, maybe 25. Again, not that you would ever use it this way or need it, but yeah, I'm every bit of 30 foot away and it's still picking up no problem. In this case, I shut the truck off, but you can see it'll give you a little notification that it's lost connection, and then all you can do is either hit retry and go back to the sensor page or the main page and select the sensor and try again. But in this case, we shut the engine off, so it's not feeding information out of the O2. I think I've covered most of what I like in it. The thing that's the hard part about this is the single O2 sensor right now is about $525 for everything that you saw, the bung, the O2, the wireless deal, all the hookup harness and everything. The dual O2 sensor, one for each bank, that is $700 right now. So again, it is not the cheapest O2 sensor you can find on the market, but certainly it gives the most versatility. And in this case, for me, it makes perfect sense for it because I can continue to do the tuning videos, continue to show you things as we're making changes live on the carburetor. We can look at it on the O2 and see how those things affect it. So for me, it's a good tool for that, but it's also a very good tool in the tuning process. Now, in most instances, if I'm going to do tuning on somebody else's vehicle and they don't have an AFR, I will use this one because, again, I want to use it as a tool to show them how things work, how to make those adjustments on a carburetor, how all that works, and what that means as you're making them on the AFR. And then certainly driving the vehicle around, it makes it really nice because it shows you exactly what's going on. And then you can see all those events that occur. You can watch the secondaries open. You can watch the needle and seat, the step-up spring and piston release. You can typically see that on an AR. It's usually for AFR. It's usually fairly pronounced. And all those things have value in it, but you could do any of the in-cab stuff with a much cheaper gauge. So obviously you don't have to buy this one, but again, for me, the pros and the value that I get out of it far outweigh the cost of it and the few little things that I don't like, the ability to data log, but we already know how to do that. I'll screen record. I get everything I want out of it that way, and I can do really long screen records if I want to. Well, that's basically it. Like I said, I have a lot of questions on that, how to use it, and all the little details on it. So hopefully that gave you some, insight on it. Again, I know that it's very expensive. I know there's some features in here that I didn't talk about. They got an anti-theft deal. I don't really think that's worth a while on anything, a trans controller or an AFR. A thief is going to steal your vehicle and it has nothing tied to the electrical side of it. They'll just pick it up with a tow truck and it's gone in 20 seconds and you'll never know anyway. Not that big of a feature, but if that's important to you, it's got it in there. If you've got any questions on this or any other AFR gauge on the market, you can leave them down below. I'd love to answer them with you. I've worked with a lot of different types of AFR. This one just happens to be my go-to. It's the one I use on everything that I own personally. This was for the GMC. I've got a dual O2 for the Chevelle. As soon as we get that back on the road, I'll show you how that works. That's kind of neat and interesting how that plays out, but it is cool to see it, live on there and understanding what you're getting out of it. So if you got any questions on a specific AFR or this one or anything I didn't cover, don't hesitate, leave them in the comments down below. And if you're gonna make an AFR purchase, just take a look at all the pros and cons of it. For me, again, another big one is uses a Bosch O2 sensor. If that thing ever goes bad, which it will, then I could walk into any auto parts store really in the US and pick one up because it's plug and play at that point, and the fast system picks it up, works with it just fine. So please leave your comments and your questions below, and I promise you I'll get back to them as soon as I can, and we'll catch you guys on the next video. We'll see ya.